Hey everybody, it is Sunday, February 19th, 2023, and you are listening to Black Box Signal, the greatest video game podcast ever made. Don't look that up, but it's the best. Just trust us. This week I am joined always by my co-host Brandon Gaston.
Hey y'all.
And I'm your host Chase Johnson. I always never know who I'm going to introduce first. Am I going to do me? Am I going to do you? Well, who knows, You never know when you come here.
At the same time.
Right. Somebody had a birthday this week.
Yeah. Somebody did. I don't know who it was, but somebody did.
Somebody on this podcast did. I don't know. Somebody whose name rhymes with Landon. So happy birthday to Brandon. So that's cool.
Thanks, man.
Did you get anything cool? Did you at least get any good money so you could get some games maybe, or did you get anything game related?
Honestly, I didn't really get much of anything, honestly, which is fine by me. I mean, usually I'm just like, don't get me anything anyway. It's just my birthday. I made it one more trip around the sun without dying, Right. Well, I know my brother got me something for disc golf, so there's that, so.
All right. So yeah, I haven't done a whole lot this week. I know we both said we were gonna stream, and then neither of us ended up streaming. So sorry everybody, that's just life. I'm really hoping to get back to it this week. Probably with season, because that's it. So this week I've just been in a wrestling rabbit hole again. Watching a lot of it's WrestleMania season, guys. Guys and gals. And yes, adulting does suck. So I've been sucked into a lot of wrestling. The Elimination Chamber was this weekend, which is the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. So
hey,
everything is kind of getting to that final. Like if there's anything close to a season finale in wrestling, it's WrestleMania. And then the next season starts the next night. So it doesn't really stop. Even when you're not like WWE is by far not my favorite promotion, but I feel even if WWE isn't your favorite promotion, anybody who's just like a pro wrestling fan pays attention around WrestleMania season, because it's like the one time it's like, okay, you're gonna get some surprise comebacks. The Hall of Fame is then, so like you get to see, like last year Undertaker was the big inductee, so I don't know who they're gonna start announcing that. Probably tomorrow I think they're gonna start announcing the Hall of Fame. So because they usually do like a couple of announcements each show, and they have 2 shows a week, so they'll probably do that.
well, how was it? Was it at least good?
What the pay-per-view? I didn't actually watch the pay-per-view. I just followed it on Twitter and get enough of it.
Oh, okay.
I know that Roman Reigns retained the title, which I kind of knew that was going to happen, because it would be too perfect for like Roman Reigns to be dethroned by Cody Rhodes, since Cody Rhodes returned last year.
I know a couple of my buddies in our Gloomhaven group were kind of talking about that, and I think the consensus is they're tired of him having the belt and they're ready to see somebody else.
But he's such a good heel champion, and he's like the perfect one to build that around. And now it's like, yes, this is it. I agree though. If Cody doesn't beat him, then what the fuck are we doing? Like, he's literally beaten everybody else on the roster. Who are you gonna bring in next? The Terminator? Like, I mean, he's literally like, we all know that wrestling's fake, but when you're building a guy up storyline wise, Roman has smashed everybody. He's smashed Brock Lesnar. They brought back Goldberg and he smashed him. He's beaten everybody. So who's like the only person he hasn't beaten? They brought back John Cena. He beat John Cena. Pretty much the only people he hasn't beaten are Cody Rhodes and The Rock. But The Rock is so busy in Hollywood that I don't. He wanted to come this year, but I guess he had a scheduling conflict, so he wasn't able to make it, because it was originally, the rumor was going to be Roman Reigns versus The Rock because they're family members. But
well, he got busy shooting Tooth Fairy 2.
Right, and getting paid way more money to not get slammed around and thrown around.
Yeah, no shot.
Like, you can hate The Rock, but you can't hate his hustle. That's for sure.
Well, and that's kind of thing too. Like, even though he's good at what he's doing with the belt, like, you don't want to sit on him too long, right? Because then it's gonna get stagnant, and you don't want that.
Well, okay. Here's my two schools of thought. Man, we're really going to wrestling in this one, but I'm cool with it. The thing is it doesn't work for a babyface. That's why Hogan started getting booed before he turned heel. Um, because they were sick of seeing him. But it works when you're a heel. Because Ric Flair was champion for a long time, but he was a heel. So then it turned into, oh, I just want to see this guy get his ass beat and finally lose. And time again, he finds a way, whether it's he legitimately wins or most of the time because he's a heel, and Roman Reigns has this whole faction that's all his family members, it's his cousins. He's got 3 brothers that are his cousins, and then another guy that was helping him out for a while, and then Paul Heyman was the manager mouthpiece, so they could kind of so every time,
Mhm.
even if you had Roman beat, his group was called the Bloodline. The Bloodline would come out and ensure that he would still stay. It's kind of like when Hogan was champ with the NWO. He never really
Mhm.
won legitimately most of his matches. He usually has some sort of outside help. But that's what makes this run so great is it works for heels because then it's like, oh, who's going to stop this guy? We need somebody to finally stop
Right.
this guy versus a baby face where it's just like, I like him, but I'm sick of seeing him. But
Right. You love to hate him, kind of a
that's the
thing. Yeah,
point.
I get it.
If you hate the heel, they are doing their job properly. That is literally what they're paid to do.
Yeah.
And I still think they're the more interesting wrestling characters, honestly. Like when
Definitely.
you're younger and and you're still not like, God, this is gonna make me sound so bad. Smart to the business, and I don't even want to say I'm smart to the business, but I'm smarter than your average fan, I guess you'd say. Um, you root for the good guys when you're younger, but when you get older, you're like the bad guys are what make the stories interesting. They always
Hmm.
do. Like you can't have a good Batman without a good Joker. Like,
For sure. For sure. 100% agree.
yep. Well, we got to stop talking about wrestling. We talk about wrestling way too much in this podcast, and there's more to talk about in the news section, so we'll get there. But so what have you been doing gaming wise this week?
Well, I didn't stream like I wanted to, but I did get a good chunk of Tactics Ogre taken down. We officially moved on into chapter 4, so we are final chapter bound. As with most games of this caliber of nature, even though you finish the story, the game ain't over. There's plenty of other stuff to do. Um, it, it's been cool. I like that they have like unique characters or whatever, and some of them have unique classes that can't be attained by other characters, which I thought is pretty cool. And usually you kind of got to go out of your way to acquire said characters. Uh, Notably, I picked up a character called Ozma, which, if anybody listening or watching has ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, when I say TG Sid, Thunder God Sid, you know who I'm talking about. Guy is like, you get him right out the rip, even not even fully skilled up, better than any other character you get in the game. And that's Ozma. Ozma is literally female Thunder God Sid. Like, starts with incredible stats. She's tanky, has almost nothing but good skills in her unique job class, which is Knight Commander. Um, she's pretty cool. She uses whips, and or she can use whips. That's her starting thing that she has, and it's unique to her because she has a special whip move that nobody else gets. But I was like, nah. I got rid of her whip, gave her 2 daggers, and she just like raffle stomps people pretty bad. So pretty cool. I also got this other guy I thought was pretty unique that I think you'd be interested in. So when you meet this dude in a cutscene, he's like a drunk on this like pirate island, and like you have to save him because these guys are gonna beat him up. And he goes by like Diego or something like that. Well, then it turns out he's actually like Azala or something like that. I can't remember what his actual name is, but he's like some dreadlord pirate apparently. And you can recruit him, so I got him. He's like a buccaneer class, so he uses a sword and he's got like a flintlock pistol, which everybody's like, ooh, flintlock pistol, but this is
They
like
look
medieval
fucking cool.
time. This is medieval time, dude.
Flintlocks have always looked cool.
Any sort of gun at this point in time is
It's gonna
like,
just OP.
yeah, friggin' overpowered. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. The story has been really good. spoiler alert for anybody, skip ahead just a few minutes, but so in the game you start out and it's you and your sister. Well, obviously there's got to be that plot twist dynamic. Turns out your sister isn't your sister. She's actually the daughter of the now deceased king
Of
that
course.
he had with one of his
Of course,
handmaids.
because that's how it had to
You
be.
know, yeah. Yeah. Cheated on his wife, the queen, with one of her handmaids, got her knocked up,
Right.
kind of a deal. Yep. And so they were like basically trying to use her like as like the mouthpiece kind of like thing, like, oh, you know, we've got the rightful princess in tow, blah blah. Everybody's like, oh, well, terrible, and you genocide people and stuff, but sure, we'll go along with it because you've got the princess supporting you, kind of a jazz. So
Nice. Nice.
um yeah, it's been fun, and some of those fights have been downright, dude, like I wanted to pull my hair out, and anybody that knows me knows I have not very much hair left to pull out. Like,
If you're watching the video form of this podcast, yeah, I mean, you, yeah,
yeah, there ain't much up there. Um, but yeah, like this one fight, downright, like it took me like 5 tries, and on the 5th try, I finally beat it. And like, I like stuff to be challenging, but like that was to the point where like it was like hope crushing, you know. But once I beat it, man, I was so stoked. I was like, yeah,
right.
you know, kind of a jazz. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it so far. If I were to rate this right now, I'd give this probably like a solid 4 out of 5 already. Like it's been really good. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable. Like they really did a good job. Not just like doing like a straight over port from one system to another. Like they really polished this off, changed, like updated the mechanics and stuff. It's very well done, I think. Myself personally. So
Nice. Nice. And you said you think you'll be done with it by next podcast or podcast after that, or don't
possibly
want to put
next
pressure on you. We know how
podcast.
bad I am, but
Possibly at least within the next 2 podcasts, I'll probably be done because I'm just like hooked and I can't stop playing it again. So
okay.
it's been fun.
Okay. And then it looks like you also put down the Last of Us episodes. It's been a little bit. We didn't talk about it last week. So I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
reach into my memory a little bit because I watched them, and we're caught up, and you kind of just got caught up. Um, where do you? We don't have to go too crazy into spoilers or anything, but what do you think of like? I think of a good topic talk is like, what do you think of the state of the show right now?
I think it's great. I think it's going really well. They're doing a great job with it. So like I get pumped every week to watch the next episode because like so far, like even the kind of like I guess if you want to go with the term filler-ish episodes, they're still interesting. They're not boring, you know, so that's good.
Yeah.
It keeps you interested, you know.
Yeah, I think it's still doing pretty good. I still think like the third episode was still like peak for me right now. Um, although the last episode was still pretty good. We finally got to see the bloater, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, minor
Oh
spoiler there.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. But I still think that third episode with Bill is still probably the strongest episode so far, writing wise. It'll be interesting to see tonight now that they're going to be almost 2/3 the way through the first game. Kind of looks like where they're going to be picking up because they're going to be picking up in Wyoming in the winter. And if you remember, that game was in seasons.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of like the spring was I believe spring was the final chapter. So because it went summer, fall, winter, and then spring
I
was
think you're right. I think you're right.
so that would put us, like I said, about two thirds ish way through the first game. So I think they're going to be sticking pretty hard to the whole um first game being the first season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, um, especially what's coming up. Um, yeah, I like it so far still. Um, we'll have to see though, because that second game, I'm telling you. Uh,
I see, and I wasn't privy to that, so I couldn't really weigh in on that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we won't go there yet. Yet.
But definitely, I agree with you. That dude, that seeing the bloater come up from the ground, I didn't even have to see it. I just heard the sound, and I got so freaking hyped.
I was like, oh, yep,
And
here it comes.
my mom's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Just wait, you'll find out. Like you'll know. You'll know what I'm talking about here in a minute."
Right, right. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say than that. Uh, I didn't get to catch up on it in time this week, but the Near anime took a little bit of a break, and then I just saw this morning on Crunchyroll that they aired the next episode because I had the first 3 episodes done, and I was waiting for episode 4 for almost like 2 or 3 weeks. It seems like. But it's finally on now. I just haven't had a chance to watch it, but I plan on getting back to that. I'll probably squeeze it in tonight or maybe tomorrow. So I'll be able to talk about that maybe on the next podcast. I did before we started this podcast. I got God of War Ragnarok like a while ago. And I actually let Brandon borrow it, and he finished it before me because I got about halfway through it, and then Crisis Core happened. Um, so
So good. It's so good.
I kind of set it aside, but I just got back to it. It took me like maybe like one thing I want to say about, and this isn't a complaint on God of War because it's a kind of endemic of any game. Um, I wish some games would have like not necessarily tutorial, but hey, I've seen you been away from this game for like a few months or or like at least 30 days. Here's a quick little refresher of this does this like
Hmm.
just while you're going through, because it took me a little bit to get my God of War legs back just from playing other stuff, but I got through the next chapter. I got that weapon, that third weapon. Spoilers for people who haven't
Oh
played.
yeah,
So I got
yeah.
that. That's
What'd you think of that?
I haven't used too much of it yet, but it's cool. I like
Yes.
the way it is. Yeah, I got it and got to the end of that level. So that's where I'm at right now. I just played enough like right before the pod today to kind of just a touch more. Um, but yeah, that game is still playing pretty well. It we'll have to talk about it more when we finish because I think we're both gonna maybe have our final thoughts on God of War Ragnarok, even though that game's been out for a little
Oh,
bit.
for sure.
But I'm hoping to have that finished, if not by the next podcast, the podcast after. Because Chase finished a game. Chase finally finished Crisis Core.
Oh yeah, we need to have a round of applause for Chase for
Yes, yes,
finally
yes, yes.
finishing.
I need to start programming like cheesy sound effect buttons into my stream deck so we can have like round of applause or just really dumb stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
the disturbed ooh wah, you know. um, even though I hate disturbed. Yeah, so that game ended pretty strongly. I mean, it ended like the PSP one. It's pretty faithful. Final bosses were pretty tough, although still Sephiroth was the hardest fight, even though there was 3 boss fights after that. Um, but like fighting Genesis was a little tough, and then who was it? God, what is his name? It's not Hojo. It's the other doctor. I don't know why his name is escaping me right now, but you fight him. Um, and Hollander, that's who it is. Hollander, and then Director Lazard gets kidnapped, and they both get turned into like Mako freaks and like
Mm,
get turned into like degrading monsters. Because that's what's kind of the whole thing's about is that all the other soldiers in the soldier program up until Zack, Cloud, and Sephiroth, all of them are degrading. Like they're really strong right now, but they're eventually going to degrade and die. So the whole game is like all these people betraying Soldier that you wouldn't think would betray Soldier because they realize that they're degrading and their government's like doing nothing, or their company's doing nothing for them. So they're kind of taking matters in their own hands. That's kind of the overall
should have
plot.
got better health insurance.
It's
Jeez.
well, you'd think Shinra would be giving them good health insurance, but
It's Shinra, bro.
yeah,
Go
you'd think
damn.
you'd think a company that makes a lot of money, things like as this is
Yeah.
being a theme on the podcast.
Oh man. They're
So
slowly sucking the planet dry. You think they give quality
right,
health
right.
care? No.
But yeah, so the game ended pretty well. I thought for a minute they were gonna try to like tweak the ending to kind of fit in with like the remake, but I'm kind of glad they didn't. I'm kind of glad they remained faithful. And I always do love the post credit sequence in that game where it's Cloud landing on the train in Midgar at the opening of Final Fantasy VII. It literally says story will be continued in Final Fantasy VII. And it's like,
Nice.
yes. So like you just, even though you know, old game, but it's like just that little fan service nod. That's always kind of cool.
Whatever. I don't care how old that game is. That is one of the best intros to a game ever. He fucking flips off the train
Yep.
and it's just like, all right, time to do your job.
Time
Okay, I
time to
guess.
commit some eco-terrorism. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, so overall, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, definitely pick it up. If you're, you know, kind of new to the series and thought that maybe remake was a little too systems heavy, this is like remake, like I said at the beginning, this is like remake light. It's a lot easier to get into than remake. As
More
far as like the systems,
accessible.
yeah, because you're only controlling one party member. You only have like a certain amount of abilities to deal with. You still have to kind of equip materia in and out. But other than that, you know, especially just having to worry about it with one person, it makes it a lot easier, a lot more manageable. Um, yeah. But I guess the next Final Fantasy game I'll be getting into is Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, the prequel to one. So that'll be the next one that I will get into after I finish God of War. I have that sitting in the back pocket. Um, Next little topic I have here that I just kind of brought up just for the heck of it, that we could discuss maybe. We won't say what is the best because best is you're just gonna you can't quantify
Subjective.
you can't quantify that. Yeah, exactly. So I figured we could discuss what you can, and you can mention more than one, um, and how each one impacted you maybe. But what is, or just talk through like what is your favorite console generation?
My favorite console generation? Um, God, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I said we
So,
can just, this is just to open a discussion a little bit.
because I'm kind of torn, right? Like, I absolutely like initially I was just gonna right instantly say Super Nintendo.
So Super Nintendo,
Um,
Sega Genesis, because those are the two out at the time, two big
to
ones. Yeah.
me, to me, it I'm kind of torn between that and kind of like the PS1, PS2 generation because I do
Well, that's
enjoy
two different
those.
generations too, because PlayStation One, it was PS1, Sega
Yeah,
Saturn, and N64, and then the PlayStation 2 was PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, original Xbox, and GameCube. So
yeah. It's like that's why I'm gonna go with Super Nintendo, I guess, because PS1 and PS2 is kind of really close for me, like too close to really choose between the two of them. So I'd go with the Super Nintendo just because, for one, I mean, that was the console I grew up on. That's like my childhood console. I mean,
yeah,
we had the NES, but really, like, my fondest memories were from the SNES era. Like, I can remember saving up lunch money, allowance money, until I had enough. And then I begged my dad to take me to the store and I bought Link to the Past with my own money. It was the first game I ever bought with my own money. I still own it to this day. It's right in my bedroom next door with my original SNES, everything. Like, had a lot of good games. The controller was solid. You know, you had Zelda, you had Super Mario Brothers, you had
right.
a bunch of fighting
F
games.
Zero,
Yep, you had a lot of really
Mortal
stellar
Kombat started there in
lot
that
of stellar
generation.
RPGs on that era too. You know, Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, bunch of Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy VI, which I dare say is the best Final Fantasy game in my opinion, and
That's
I've
not an
never beaten
uncommon
it.
opinion.
Yeah,
People pretty much say it's either 7 or 6. Those are the kind of the two that get thrown, or
mhm,
14.
mhm.
So
Yeah, it's just it's got a really good catalog. You know what I mean? And you know what I remember the most? The Super Scope,
I was
dude.
gonna
It
say,
was
no one, if anybody's listening, they're not gonna see that, but yeah, he held his arms up like a scope, the super
yeah,
scope.
the old Super Scope. Boy, I'll tell you what, that thing you barely used it for anything other than the Super Scope cartridge that came with it, and it's kind of like trivial, cheesy arcade game style things that you play with it. But I
Okay,
remember having that thing
but
and thinking it was so cool.
what about this? What about the thing that really destroyed your eyes? The Virtual Boy that hooked up to the Super Nintendo, that was like just like the thing that looked like a VR headset, but it was just like a red screen inside of there, like a black and red screen. I didn't have one, but like one of my babysitters had one. And I just remember thinking to
I didn't
myself,
have one either.
I just remember thinking to myself, like, this was their virtual reality thing at the time. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, this must have been terrible for your eyes because you were essentially shooting like it wasn't exactly like shooting the same frequency colored red of like a laser pointer, but it was pretty damn close. And it was just like a bunch of those lines, like a bunch of those scan lines, just like, okay, this cannot be. I remember playing Mortal Kombat 1 on the Virtual Boy, and they were like black and red. Like it was like the how the Game Boy, original Game Boy didn't have any colors. It was the black lines with that green. It was black and red. And it was
Oh
just like, I was like, this
God.
cannot be good for your eyes. There's no way.
They're looking back on it now, and all the kids from that generation are grown up and have like deteriorated eyesight, and they're like,
Probably
that
not.
probably wasn't our most stellar idea.
Probably why Nintendo hasn't gotten back into VR since.
Slick, our friend Slick, he had it was it looked like a cartridge, but it had a spot in there you could put Game Boy games into, and then play them on the Super Nintendo on your TV. That was kind of cool. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And they did that too with like the N64 and the GameCube. They kind of kept that
Mhm.
going. I wish they still did that. Well, I guess now they have the Switch, so I guess it's all in one thing. But man, if I could like plug my 3DS games or my DS games into something, like that would be so rad. Um,
Mhm.
I am actually kind of torn on this one. I know what my answer is going to be, but I had to think of like my memories as like a quote unquote gamer. I played Sega Genesis a lot. That was like my first like one that I played a bunch. And then the PlayStation 1 was really, really big for me. I remember playing wait, we'll go back a little bit. I remember playing a really bad fighting game for the Sega CD called Eternal Champions. And I just remember it having like really ridiculous, like quote unquote fatalities. They were called overkills and sudden deaths. I should send you the video of it. But because it's not a good fighting game at all.
No.
But like the fatalities and stuff were kind of cool. And it was for Sega CD, so like the attachment to the Sega Genesis. um
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so that was kind of obscure. But then the PlayStation 1 was really big. Like Tekken was really big for me. Bushido Blade. Please make another Bushido Blade.
The
Please,
good
please,
stuff.
please. I'm whispering right now. Please make another Bushido Blade, please. Um I love Bushido Blade. Twisted Metal 1 and 2, especially. Like
Ooh, that was
I
the
played me
jam.
so much Twisted Metal 2. So much Twisted Metal 2. And then obviously Final Fantasy with like 7 and 8 and 9. And then didn't Tactics also come to PlayStation at
Yeah,
some point?
Tactic was on PlayStation actually.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought. Oh yeah, because it was Tactics and Tactics Advance. I played it on Advance. I never played the one on PlayStation, but it had all those, so that was awesome. Oh, and Tenchu started on the PlayStation, I believe. We were talking
Mhm.
about that the other day at work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how bad the voice.
Them brains though.
I am dying. No, I am dying. Best voice acting ever.
You can't forget the best PlayStation game ever. My fondest memories of coming over to your place as a kid. Wild 9, baby.
Wild Nine.
Throwing
Oh.
the enemies into like the meat grinders and stuff, dude. That
Mhm.
game was
Or
awesome.
the two levels that like you were skydiving through a space tube. So you just had to like
Yep.
slam them into the walls as you're like free falling, and then hopefully you
Hmm.
and pull your chute before you hit the ground or whatever. Yeah. Um, but that was probably actually my second favorite generation. My first favorite generation, I will have to say that I have the fondest memories of is the PS2 original Xbox and GameCube generation. Um,
Pretty
because
solid.
I think it's the last time that a lot of companies took chances and studios took chances at just making whatever. Like we got Final Fantasy X, we got Final Fantasy 12, we got Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. We got a slew of actually really good to decent anime games. Like we got the two Full Metal Alchemist games that Square Enix made that were actually really good. That's when you started seeing a lot more of like the anime fighters. Like you started seeing a lot of the Dragon Ball like Budokai games, and you got I think that was when like you got the first like Naruto fighting games too, was on the PS2. And then this is really gonna nerd me out, but they had a lot of really good Gundam games, like really good Universal Century OG Gundam games. It had My favorite one was Mobile Suit Gundam Zeonic Front because it actually played like a rainbow, like an old school Rainbow Six like tactical game. You had to like command units while being in a unit
Oh,
yourself.
okay.
So that was really cool. Um, and then I mean it gave birth to Nier because I had Drakengard 1. Um, so obviously
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like, yeah, looking back at that, that was really cool. But then like the GameCube was super solid. Like I vividly remember the PS. I could go to sleep and I remember the PS2 and GameCube startup sounds
Oh
so
man.
much. And I loved my PlayStation 2 to death. And you got like the Grand Theft Autos on there. The wrestling games were good. Just overall, I think that system. And then I mean, on the Xbox side, you got Halo. Halo was huge and Fable.
Oh yeah.
Like
Fable was such a big deal.
Halo, I played so much Halo 1 and 2, and I played so much Fable. Ooh, and the Star Wars Jedi Knight series came to console because Jedi Knight Jedi Academy was on Xbox and Jedi Knight Jedi Outcast.
Yep.
Those were really good Star Wars games.
Oh my
Those are
god,
really good.
Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy
You
was
get
so much. I know people like Jedi Outcast better, but I love Jedi Academy. It was so good.
so did I.
Like you,
Force grip people and just whip them.
and you use the thumbstick to swing your lightsaber, the right
Yep.
thumbstick, like but and it had a multiplayer mode to where you could have like a team deathmatch because it went back and forth between like first person and lightsaber mode.
Yeah.
So you could like be shooting with
Quake
guns.
style.
Yeah, it felt so much like Quake or like Unreal Tournament, like and
Hmm.
Unreal Championship also. That was like the first time like Unreal made its like big jump to console. So there's like a lot of good stuff. Metal Gear Solid 2, which arguably in my opinion is the best Metal Gear Solid, is on the PlayStation 2. I mean, just I could go on and on about like just take me back to that time. Like that was like I don't know. For me, that was peak. That was peak. That was peak, John. You hear me? Love you. I put these little
Yeah.
tidbits in here because he's like our pseudo editor. Like I do all the actual editing, but I'm the one that's like every week we're like, hey John, how did it sound? Did we sound good? Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Definitely. We love you, John.
but yeah, that is definitely like, and then like after that though, if you think about it, then we got into the 360 PS3 generation, and that's when like the B tier game kind of disappeared. Like, and then you just had kind of AAA and then like the smaller arcadey indie games. Like, and that's why
Hmm.
indie games I think have gotten better because they've kind of filled that void of uh let's say the Warriors, the video game based on the Warriors movie, which is actually a really good video game that Rockstar made. Like we don't get stuff like that anymore. The Enter the Matrix video game, which a lot of people didn't like but I did. um Path of Neo was bad, but Enter the Matrix I thought was good. um
Really? I steered away from those, so I
Did
couldn't
you?
say.
I don't know, man. I had a lot of fun with Enter the Matrix. Maybe it's because like you could just type in a bunch of codes to have like infinite bullet time. So that made it
I
fun.
think I steered away from that because I think my brother had like a Matrix game on his computer or something. He said it wasn't very good, said it was really hard and you died a lot. And I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, console generations. Bring them back. Okay, don't really bring them back. Make this generation last a long time, please. How about that? For my wallet's sake.
Just take chances. Take some more
Yeah,
chances, dude.
and that
And
let's take some more chances. Like
give us those juicy stuff. You know, I mean, yeah, you're gonna fail, but like every once in a while you take a chance and you get those gems, dude, that just like last a lifetime.
Yoko Taro failed 4 times before getting to Near Automata, people. Just saying.
See?
See? All right, well, that's pretty much all we got for the week of what we've been up to. I guess we can go ahead and get into the news. It's gonna be kind of a light podcast today because we don't have a ton of news. First story that I have here is Microsoft confirms that Game Pass cannibalizes sales of games, and this is according to GameIndustry.biz. Xbox maker tells UK CMA it expects titles to see a decline in base sales for at least a year following the inclusion into the subscription service. Um, which to me just kind of reads like duh. If a game is on Game
Yeah.
Pass, you're not going to buy it unless like that game gets removed from Game Pass and then you're like, "Oh, well now I'll pick," cuz sometimes games only stay in Game Pass for like a few months and then they're out. So but I could see somebody also like me would probably if I had something like Game Pass despite how I've been on this podcast so far, I'd probably try to get through the game as quick as possible, and then by the time it's off Game Pass, I'm already done with it.
Yeah.
But also the fact that they were telling this to the UK, what was it, the CMA, and right now they're dealing with the whole trying to buy Activision and coming up with reasons why. Hey, look, we don't make as much money as you think. You know, it's not going to be that big of a deal if we buy Activision. I kind of take this a little bit with a grain of salt too. That like they might be making it seem worse than it actually is. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I'm with you. Like when I read that on the note, I was just like kind of laughed. Like, well, I mean, that's obvious. I don't think it's probably nearly as bad as they claim it is. But I mean, obviously, yeah. If you're paying whatever X amount a month or a year for Game Pass, obviously you're going to be spending less money buying physical copies of games, unless, for example, it's a game you really like and you want, like, they offer a cool special edition or collector's edition with a cool steel book.
Now they
Or
did say
like
that it leaves people more open to like pay for add-ons for a game that they might get on Game Pass, which I can see that. If you got a game for free on Game
yeah.
Pass, you might be more likely to like engage in the microtransactions of that game because you didn't spend it.
Mhm.
But um
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't that doesn't really surprise me. And also like those developers don't ever say it really hurts them, like cuz Microsoft pays for them to be on Game Pass. So if it wasn't financially good for the studios making the game, I don't think they'd do it.
Right.
Right. So I don't think it really affects that end of it. It just might affect the revenue that Microsoft directly makes. Um,
Which, who cares? I
right.
mean,
Next story, kind of a smaller one that we're probably not going to touch too big on because we're not big sports guys. EA is paying. This comes via Kotaku. EA is paying $588 million for the rights to the English Premier League. If you haven't been following, like EA was making the FIFA games for a really long time. Well, they lost the FIFA license, so now they're trying to figure out, you know, what they're going to do with their next soccer game. And this looks like their solution is that they're going to be moving forward with a deal with the Premier League. Um, Not too much else to say on that. Do you got really much to add to that? I figured this would be kind of a small story.
no, not really. I mean, what is it, a soccer game? I mean, of all sports games, soccer's game's really not going to excite me because I don't like soccer in general,
Yeah.
period.
It does make I will say that you'd think Madden would make them the most money, but because soccer is more popular outside of the US, FIFA makes them a fuck ton of money.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. Outside of the US, like, or as they call it, football.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, it's huge. Like all over Germany, all those freaking people eat that shit
Bro,
up. They
they
love it.
call it football because it makes more sense that that is called football than our fucking football. Just saying.
Well, that's true. I'll 100% give them
like,
that for
like at
sure.
least it makes fucking sense. But no, it makes them a lot of money. So the fact that they were like they had to pivot and think of something else to kind of satisfy the audience that comes to them like every year for a FIFA game or whenever a FIFA game comes out, uh, that doesn't surprise me. $588 million though for that.
I'm wondering, well, so if they lost the rights to FIFA, does that mean they're never getting FIFA games anymore? Or did somebody else buy it out?
Oh, let me see. I don't know who if FIFA is being made by anybody else or if they're gonna be. I just think they're done with EA.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I was gonna say because hopefully at least somebody else picks it up because that's a bummer for those people that love that type of game. You know, knowing that like, oh well, they lost it, now we're never gonna get. No, you know what I mean? Like that kind of would suck.
yeah, I was trying to scan through this article a little bit, and it doesn't say anything about. It's mostly about the Premier League's deal with EA,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
not FIFA. So it's just saying that hey, EA and FIFA's relationship is done, and that's that pretty much. And that came. Sorry, those last two articles I need to cite my sources here were GameIndustry.biz and Kotaku. The next one comes from Polygon. It's kind of a little follow-up on the story for it's a small follow-up on Zelda Tears of the Kingdom being $70. Um and I just
Oh, because
wanted
we were touching on that, yeah.
yeah, we were touching on that. I need to find the quote here. Um they were asked if this would be the price going forward. And basically, where is it? It was right here. Oh yeah. No, we determine the suggested retail price for any Nintendo product on a case by case basis. So at least there's a little bit of like we shouldn't expect every Nintendo to be like the game to be like this going forward, but I'm a little skeptical. I don't know. What do you think?
Sounds like it's just an excuse for them to price hike whenever they feel like it, you know?
Like, okay, I don't see every game going up, but like the next Mario, that's gonna be
Oh,
70.
yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like
The
you know,
next Pokemon,
yeah,
70.
that's what I'm saying. The next really anticipated game like
Yeah.
that, or like a classic, like, oh, we're making a new Donkey Kong game. We're gonna hike it up to $70.
I could see maybe Donkey Kong maybe being 60 still, but like Metroid 70, like anything that's like big, 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 like on the level of like Zelda at least. Like I could definitely see Mario for
Yeah.
sure. Mario Kart could go back and forth, but like, you know, like a lot of maybe Animal Crossing, if they did another Animal Crossing, might still be 60, but I could definitely see like their big marquee games from here going forward being $70 because
Oh
like
yeah.
we kind of talked about, like they probably don't view like their game being any Zelda being any worse than a God of War, and that's selling for 70. So why wouldn't they sell their big marquee Zelda game for 70 and think it's not worth 70?
Yeah.
Yeah. But just saying, you know, that, you know, there's a, you know, not every game going forward, at least according to this Polygon report, is going to be not every single game is going to be $70 going forward, which we will see. Um,
Yeah, we'll see.
we'll
That's
we'll
kind
see.
of where
I
I'm
like I
at.
said, I'm not saying every game makes me think, okay, maybe small, maybe like the next Splatoon, if there's another Splatoon, maybe that's 60. And then like, but like I said, like Mario, you gotta know that Mario is at least Mario, the next Mario is gonna be 70, like
Oh
100%.
yeah, for sure.
Next story also comes from Polygon. The Division 2's new season is delayed because the devs broke the game. Um, Basically, somehow, Tom Clancy's The Division 2 got so messed up as the developers were preparing for its next update that the 2019 game cannot be updated. I don't know the particulars of this. It's a lot of like programming jargon. But basically something happened to where like something broke in one of their systems and now they can't update the game at all. They were planning like new DLC for that game, and according to this Polygon article, uh oh, here's the actual tweet. This came out on Twitter. It's loading. Forgive me 1 second here. This is funny. I didn't think I had a tweet.
Sounds like a
Last week we
bad
shared the
code
news that
string
this
or something.
yeah, last week we shared the news that we delayed due to a localization issue. This past Sunday, in the process of creating an update which would resolve this issue, we encountered an error that brought down the build generation system for the Division 2. What? How does that happen?
Like I said, bad string of code or something, I guess. I don't
Like you
know.
must have like I don't know. What do you think about that? That seems kind of. I mean, I know it's a little bit of an older game, and I don't play the Division, but
But they hit you with the oops, my bad. Like
right.
what is that? Yeah, yeah. How does that happen? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a programmer, so I don't know, but
That's almost as bad as like, okay, so we went to update the game last night and it turns out we wiped the disc clean, so you can't even play the game anymore.
yeah.
Like, whoopsie.
I
Yeah,
went to click load save file and I accidentally hit delete.
right. Uh, so yeah, nothing too big there. Kind of a bigger story for the next one. This comes from Video Games Chronicle. For the first time since it launched, the PS5 led US console sales in January. And yeah, that's the first time that it actually outsold the Switch because the Switch has been more readily available. So what we talked about, the consoles starting to show up in places, maybe that's starting to help. Maybe we're starting to see that. Says Sony here on Video Games Chronicle. This is also citing the NPD numbers, which we're going to go over the NPD numbers next. Sony's console topped the hardware rankings in both unit and dollar sales, with Switch second across both measures, and Xbox Series X and S in third place. So yeah, it looks like the supply chain issues might be getting solved. I don't know. What do you think?
I've been seeing a lot more posts on Facebook from a couple different people saying like, "Hey, I've seen some PS5s here. I've seen some PS5s here." So I think you're right. I think they're starting to become a little bit more readily available. So I can definitely foresee those sales peaking up like that now.
Yeah, and I know when we read that story initially, what, 2 podcasts ago about them increasing the supply, it was like a little bit of a I believe it when I see it, but
Hmm.
numbers don't lie. So that tells me that they're starting to, at least on the Sony front, get control of their supplies. I still haven't seen any Series X's or S's in the wild, the Xboxes. But I have been starting to see PlayStation 5s myself. Like I was at a Target like a week ago and I saw 2. Um and 2 of the disc versions, not the digital ones. So that was kind of
Mm.
surprising. Next, numbers, because everybody loves numbers. We're gonna look at the NPD numbers for January. And this is just for January 2023. Top 10 games were at number 10, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Does that really surprise anybody? That's still selling pretty well.
Nope.
One Piece Odyssey as at number 9. God of War Ragnarok number 8. Forspoken at number 7. Elden Ring at number 6. Fire Emblem Engage was number 5. FIFA 23 was number 4. Madden NFL 23 was number 3. Dead Space was number 2 in
Oh,
sales.
I'm not
And
surprised.
number 1 was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which does
That also not a surprise.
not a surprise. Anything that stands out to you in this list that I mentioned?
I'm surprised Forspoken is that high because I've heard nothing but sadly bad things about that
I haven't played it
game.
myself. I played the demo and I was not impressed.
Yeah, well, that's the general consensus that I've read. Is like a lot of people were like overhyped, blah blah blah.
And it came out in January, so it could have been like, these are just the sales numbers. It would be interesting to see next month when we get the NPD numbers. Maybe this is something when you look at month to month, is the NPD numbers, just to see like, okay, how is it doing this month? Elden Ring still being number 6. That's kind of impressive because this came out like this time last year, didn't it? Like it came out in January last year, or was it February?
Something like that. It's been out for a while. It's a solid game. I still have friends that are begging me to put it back on my PlayStation and play with them again. And I'm like, bro, I'm retired. Like, I'm retired from that game.
The one that surprised me too was One Piece Odyssey. Despite how I know you're not a huge One Piece guy, but the fact that any anime game in our year of our Lord 2023 is charting, that's fucking cool.
That really surprised me, actually. I mean, yeah, it's like 9. It's not super high, but the fact that an anime game is on the top 10 sales, wow.
Right.
Mind blowing.
That must be to now they did say the overall sales were kind of down because I don't think we had like last January we had Pokemon Arceus and Elden Ring, I think. So you had 2 big bangers come out. This time around was like Fire Emblem was a new release on here. Forspoken was a new release on here. Everything else was already previously out. Oh, and Dead Space. But like Modern Warfare 2 was already out. FIFA was already out. Madden was already out. So, yeah, that definitely surprised me. And I'm just happy to see that Fire Emblem Engage beat Forspoken. Like that, it's 2 spots ahead of it. It's in the top 5, so I'll take that.
Hey.
This one I know is going to excite you a little bit. This comes from Kotaku. Dead Island 2 is which was originally announced in 2015 is now coming out a week early on 4/21 on April 21st. Oh no, it was announced in 2014 and was supposed to release in 2015. We are now in 2023 and that game is finally going to come out.
10 years later. That's close enough.
Right. I mean, shoot, I'm not a Dead Island person, so I'll let you talk.
Dude, I don't know how did you never not play it? Like,
are you okay, dude? But are you really that excited if it's been in the oven for this long and it was supposed to, like, it just kept getting kicked down the can?
Hey man, I'll play it.
It doesn't worry you.
I don't even care. No,
it's making me. It's giving me Cyberpunk vibes, dude. When it was like it's coming out here, and then it's not.
Don't say that.
And then it's
don't
not.
say that.
And then it's not. And then it's not.
Don't say that.
It was supposed to.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby?
It was supposed to come out in 2015. It was supposed. I know. Like,
I'm a little worried. Like you said, it's been baking in the oven for a while.
It was released as a PS4 game originally, you know.
So, I mean, yes, Dead Island is not the greatest game in the world. I'll be honest with you. But me and my buddy Jay played that game religiously together, and it was fun. It was fun because I was playing it with somebody else. So that was cool. I like that you could mod your weapons. You could put like gas on your like machete and make it like a fire machete, and so it was kind of cool. I mean, the storyline, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any of the quests, boring snooze fest. I was really pretty much just, I'm gonna
Gameplay.
roam around with my buddy and just smack zombies. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it don't get any better than that.
Right. Next little story. This is more just for me since the last one was for Brandon. AEW, this comes directly from the ESRB. AEW Fight Forever, AEW's upcoming wrestling game, gets a T rating. Which I know they were kind of going back and forth because AEW tends to be a little bit more of a hardcore product versus WWE. They don't specialize in that, it's not like an ECW or anything like that, but they do tend to have more, blood in their matches, things like that. In fact, WWE, it's really rare to see blood now. Um, but uh I don't know. That was just kind of all I saw. It's because they have like a lot of barbed wire matches and things like that. You don't have that too much in WWE anymore. You have your cage matches, but not too much of that stuff. Um, kind of
I'm
citing,
excited.
yeah, I don't know. I hope it's good because it's gonna be that more arcadey wrestling game. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on if I like the simi wrestling games better or the arcadey ones because I do like the good SmackDown games and those are more simi. But then again, I like No Mercy, which is more arcadey. So
Look,
I
as long as I can drop a big TV on somebody's head in the back hallway, that's all I need.
oh god, WWE Raw was so bad for the Xbox, so bad, and they made a second one. It was so bad, and they made a Raw 2. How did that get greenlit? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I hope it's good. I'm glad that now they've got a rating because it means that that was kind of like their biggest holdup because for a while they were like, there's rumors that they were going to get a mature rating, and AEW is fighting really hard against that because a lot of teens and younger kids do watch their products, so they figured it would be limiting for
Yeah.
them to be able. That's going to limit, their sales. So not too much more to report on that. You got too much to say on
Limit
that?
their sales.
Oh,
Let's be honest, dude. The ESRB or whatever, like, is all right. I'm gonna say it because it needs to be said. It's a joke. Oh, I'm gonna make this game mature and it's gonna hurt my fan bases. No, it's not, especially not with parents now. The kid will be like, Ma, get me this game.
right.
She'll
Yeah.
look at that
Unfortunately.
M and not know what that means and go, sure, honey, and buy it for him anyways.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, when Shauna used to work at Target, Shauna's my wife. Used to work at Target. She would in their electronics department. She'd see parents coming all the time. It's like I'm buying my 7-year-old Grand Theft Auto. And it's like, what the fuck? You're the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
problem. The games aren't the problem. You're the problem.
Yeah. I
like,
mean, that's the thing. Like, the parents will just get it for him
like
anyways.
you and I are obviously we have a video game podcast, so obviously we like games, but we're also parents. We don't like let our kids play stuff like that. Like, I mean,
No.
I don't like I did let Violet
No.
watch a little bit of God of War, but that's more like fantasy violence, like, and you're not killing actual humans, but she doesn't watch me play Grand Theft Auto or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids watch me play God of War. Like you said, it's more fantasy violence or whatever. But then again, I mean, me as a parent, like, I've had talks with my kids a lot about stuff like that. So, you know, and to me, I don't know about you, but like to me, them watching me play a game's a little bit different of a stance than me actually letting them have that game and playing it themselves. I guess that
Right.
may sound like a cop out, but I kind of feel like it's two different things.
Right. Next story. With it has to do with Pokemon Stadium. It comes from Game Rant. Pokemon Stadium on Switch may be getting Pokemon transfers. I know initially when Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 got added to the N64 console for the Switch, they stated that there's no way to trade your Pokemon in. I don't know. Did you ever play Pokemon Stadium? Because I played a lot of Pokemon Stadium, even though I didn't have an
Oh yeah,
N64.
on the N64, bro. I
That
got
was
down. I
so
rented
sweet.
that so many times from the video game store. It was great.
Yeah, because it was the first time you got like really big like 3D Pokemon battles. Like, yeah, you see them in the new games now, But like that was the only way to get them back then, was to like trade your Pokemon from your Game Boy games into that. But apparently you couldn't do that because it was on the Switch. Now they're saying there might be a way to do it. Now that they've added the Game Boy games and the Game Boy Advance games, if you play the Pokemon, if Pokemon games come out on that and you play those versions, you might be able to trade those to the N64 ones. So unfortunately, the ones that you have in like Pokemon Home, which is supposed to be like their universal Pokemon app, you're not gonna be able to trade those in there, which is it. I don't know. That sounds just Nintendo enough to be right, because they fucking suck at like the online
Just
portion of everything.
Nintendo enough.
Well, dude, let's face it, like the Nintendo online service, like the fact that you need to be plugged into a phone app, a separate app to like chat and play Splatoon, like that to me, and how much their online service has just been like 2 steps back since it like they launched. That solution just sounds just Nintendo stupid enough to like that's going to be the way to do it. You can't do it like by playing like Diamond or like the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl remake, but if you play the oh no, that wouldn't count either because that's the DS one. So yeah, no, it would be like you can't trade it from Let's Go Pikachu, even though it's a remake of Yellow. But if you play the Game Boy emulated version of Yellow and catch it in there, you can trade it in. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I'm thinking that's going to be the new catchphrase. That sounds just Nintendo enough.
Yeah, yeah. Like it doesn't surprise me. Like,
Oh God. But yes, you're right. They have been leagues behind with their online and stuff. So
I love Nintendo. I love
I'm
Nintendo.
not
Everything else, but
surprised.
that is like the one thing that they've always been bad at is their online stuff.
Well, their eShop and everything is
Yeah,
just
the eShop's even okay
mm,
too, but like everything else around it, like I said, using a separate app to chat like through your
yeah,
console.
it's pretty rough.
Yeah. This next story comes via GameSpot. And we can kind of talk about, can we go 2 for 2, Brandon? We kind of called the Nintendo Direct. Looks like PlayStation State of Play reportedly coming within a month before a bigger showcase before E3. That's the article reported by Steve Watts at GameSpot. It
Oh no.
seems like it's been a little while since we've had any major stuff announced from Sony. So I don't know. I could see, you know, it says it's going
I
to be a
could see it.
smaller one. They said their bigger one's going to be probably closer to the E3 time window, like of June. But I don't know. What do you think?
I'm thinking we're due, you know.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'll be definitely excited if it for sure gets like a confirmation.
Well, and we think too that Xbox just had that event with Bethesda, that smaller one. And then we had that Nintendo Direct. Maybe this is also reported by Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb too. So you got GameSpot and Giant Bomb reporting on it. That's 2 big outlets kind of saying that this is probably going to happen within the month, maybe a month or 2. So we'll see. We'll see if we can go 2 for 2, Brandon. Get a state
For
of play.
sure.
I would like to see a state of play here soon, just because there's so many things. Like Sony's the one that like has been the quietest about everything this generation, I feel.
If we go 2 for 2, I'm buying a lottery ticket.
um, what would you like to see from a state of play? Now let pull your expectations back though, because if they're gonna have a bigger event right around E3 or before E3, that's probably what they're gonna save their big announcements for. What would be some like medium sized to like medium big announcements that maybe you'd like to see?
You already know. The only thing I want to see from PlayStation is that Final Fantasy Tactics Reborn fucking logo. I don't even need a trailer. If I just see the logo, dude, I will freaking shit a golden brick, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's all I care about.
Yeah. So I don't expect to see like the next Spider-Man. That's probably gonna be saved for E3.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
I don't see, let's see, that Wolverine game, maybe, but I could see that also being saved for that E3 window. Um, I would like to see some more Square Enix stuff because it seems like the Square Enix stuff doesn't get as big of a highlight. So like maybe like more out of Final Fantasy 16. Maybe I could see. I was gonna say Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, but they'll probably save that for E3 because that's not set to come out until this winter.
Mhm.
This next holiday, I should say. So I don't know. this is pie in the sky dream for me, but I would like to see whatever the fuck Yoko Taro is working on. I don't know.
Uh,
I know he's got
if
to be
he
doing something.
is,
That motherfucker's doing something. I just think that he's always doing something,
the next continuation after Automata.
or before, or in the middle.
Uh.
And
Give
here,
me, give me those slapping soundtracks, bro. I'm
and
ready.
nope,
My
here you go.
body is ready.
Here's the curveball. Here is Drakengard 4.
Oh Lord.
And it takes place after Automata.
Drakengard 2 remake.
Oh no. Well, okay. If it's the version that Yoko Taro intended, sure. No, what would be cool for me is that time period between the end of Drakengard 1 and Near Replicant. Like when the virus is when white coronation syndrome is first spreading, that's what I want. I want to know what's going on there. Or just give me something completely different. I don't care, Yoko Taro. Give me something. Give me something more than like a card game or a phone gotcha game. Because I know you're working on those too, and that's fine. You can make that. I understand it's probably giving you great money and great funding for the next game, but please give me like a snippet of what you're working on
Look,
next.
it's gonna be Drakengard 2 remake. They're gonna make the graphics look great, but when you're flying the dragon, it's gonna be the same frame rate.
Okay, but that was in Drakengard 3 that had the bad frame rate.
Dumb frames, no.
Yeah. I would no Drakengard 1 and 3 remake I would pay for. 2 forget to even happen. Like but Drakengard 1 and 3, if those got a remake, I'd be all about that. But that's like pie in the sky. I don't think that's happening. That's just more fever dream.
Metal Gear Solid, the original remake?
Ooh, yeah, that could be, or Metal Gear Solid being added to the collection. Because they
Yeah,
did say that they're
dude.
going to talk about other collection stuff. That would be cool. I did see that did you see that Legend of Dragoon's getting added?
I did. I got super happy. I'd be way more excited if it was a Legend of Dragoon remake for sure.
Yeah.
I think we've all been waiting for that.
Here we are at the top of the podcast talking about I wish they would take more chances than me and you sitting. I wish they'd do some more remakes.
No, I'm excited for that because for one, I never finished Legend of Dragoon. And that was one of those like low key, like, it didn't come from like a big production company. I don't feel like, you know what I mean? And like that game slapped, dude. The combat was cool with the little combo button mashing you could do and stuff. Oh my god, dude. Oh.
Right. Next little small story about Call of Duty. We're not the biggest Call of Duty fans here, but we should report on it because it's like the biggest fucking selling thing ever. There was rumors originally saying that they were going to take a year off or the next Call of Duty would be like an expansion. Well, they have just confirmed that Call of Duty will be a full premium release in 2023. And this is according to GameSpot. But it might not be a full game. So I don't know what the fuck that means anymore. I did see somewhere that it was Bloomberg saying that that even though Modern Warfare 2 was like the best selling Call of Duty in a while, like one of the best ones that they've had, it still didn't make the people happy at Activision. Even though it was like hitting record numbers and yada yada yada. I think that might have part of like their war zones being like free. So more people are just like playing Warzone now. But
Spoiler alert, it's really just a new season for Warzone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've stopped playing Call of Duty a while ago, even though I know that this recent one did really well. In comparison to like the previous ones. That would make it okay. So they kind of rotate between developers. That would mean that if Modern Warfare 2 was Infinity Ward, that would mean this time around would have to be Sledgehammer. Because it's always Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Treyarch. Treyarch always does the Black Ops games. Infinity Ward always did the Modern Warfare games and did some of the older World War II ones. Then Sledgehammer they helped go on Ghosts. They did Advanced Warfare, which I liked Advanced Warfare, and then they did the newest Call of Duty World War II and I think Infinite Warfare. So they kind of rotate. That's how they get a Call of Duty out every year. Is they got 3 studios working on them. So I
Um,
think it's Sledgehammer's turn, which their last one was World War II.
what was
Um,
the last Call of Duty game that came out? Was it
uh,
Modern Warfare 2?
Modern Warfare 2 was the newest one, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And that was Infinity Ward. Oh no, wait! It actually says the next game by Treyarch is coming out. Yeah, so okay, the next game by Treyarch is coming out in 2024 with paid expansion by Sledgehammer this year. Paid premium
Mm.
expansion. So yeah, it's Sledgehammer's turn. So I think the last one that they did was Vanguard, because Vanguard was the one before that, and then Black Ops 4 was before that, or was Black Ops Cold War? Because Black Ops Cold War was before that. That would be
Yeah.
Treyarch. So it was Treyarch slash. So yeah, that would put it on track. Oh, it's so hard to fucking keep track of.
Keep track of, I was about
like,
to say, too
Jesus
many.
Christ. But I don't know. I've always like I still kind of dip. I shouldn't say that I hate Call of Duty. I used to play them a lot, and I still dip my toe in them every now and then when they're like free. Um, I liked the Sledgehammer offerings of like I liked Advanced Warfare and I liked the Call of Duty World War II, but not Vanguard. I don't know. So maybe we'll see something decent there. I don't know. What do you think? I know you're not really the biggest Call of Duty guy, but
Honestly, I'm kind of like you. I mean, I'm not going to completely hate on them, but to me, I like the old school style, right? Like where you've got just like the regular multiplayer. Like honestly, like the Warzone stuff, like kind of. I'm not a big battle royale guy. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I've played a
yeah,
couple of them. They don't do it for me. You know, bring
yeah.
me back to the old school stuff where I can just slay people and call it good.
Yeah, and I like the objective game types actually. I like playing like domination and hardpoint
Yeah, domination. I
and
love
it's because
domination.
I used to play in tournaments. So you never played team deathmatch in tournaments. It was always
Or
it was always
demolition.
yeah, it was always capture the flag, not demolition in this one because demolition you respawn. They always did search and destroy, because
Oh, that's what it is. Yep.
that didn't have the respawns. Demolition was the one that just gave you respawns.
Hmm.
And search and destroy you just had the one life. But the game types were always capture the flag, search and destroy. Domination was sometimes in there. Hardpoint was in there. It was always your objective type. So I always like
Hmm.
playing, but same concept of like playing a team deathmatch, something like that. Like you got two teams up against each other and you're just going. That I've always liked that better than the Warzone stuff. So I'm right there with you.
Hmm.
Um, Second to last story here, we got a bad news story and a good news story. Uh, this comes from Games Radar. Years after leaving Activision, which is ending full remote work, Bungie's made the best Destiny 2 season ever entirely remotely. So Activision is ending its work at home policy permanently. After seeing that tons of people can work totally fine from home, they're ending that. And Bungie that used to work under Activision was working with Activision on Destiny for a while. Just launched its best season ever, and they did it 100% work at home. So you've kind of got two conflicting narratives here that Activision saying, "Oh, it doesn't work," but Bungie being like, "Yeah, yeah, it does." I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, after the pandemic and all that stuff happened, like worldwide, if anything's proven anything, like work from home is entirely possible. Lots of businesses were doing 100% work from home. I get possibly having to have people come in at least once a week or something like that, sure. But like just getting completely get rid of it, I'm not
Right.
okay with that. Like,
I mean, we
why?
we won't say where we work, but even our job offers work from home options. Like you have
Yeah.
options to where you could work from home, and it's so convenient to be able to just saves you money on gas. Like it works really for everybody, I think. And if you can prove that you still can be just as productive at home, if not in some cases more productive, like in the
More,
case of
I was gonna
Bungie,
say more productive.
yeah, like I said, it says here that Bungie made their entire next season like 100% remote. So that shows me that it can work. Um,
Hmm.
but then this is Activision we're talking about. Activision's been doing so much shit lately where it's like, oh, we're not paying employees, we're harassing employees, we're that just
Taking the work from home away from
yeah,
them.
we're just this just seems like another knock in like the yep, I'm not surprised like that this is happening. Um last story, like I said, shorter pod this week. But last story, it's good news. This comes of through Eurogamer. Sega commits to a 30% raise for all existing staff to strengthen its global competitiveness. So here's another example of a trend that we've been seeing, you know, like how we talked, on the last podcast, the podcast before that. Western developers seem to be laying off people and, cutting staff, while the Japanese developers are like, not only are we keeping people, we're giving everybody raises. Um, that
Back your employees, man.
I mean, and Japan is known to be a pretty conservative society too. They don't have like the best track record with like, like as far as like, there a lot of people are still overworked over there, but the fact that they're like seeing like that, with inflation and everything, that they need to just, now's not the time to be laying people off. I guess is what is the big thing.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And it says this quote here is, "We are reforming so that employees can maximize their potential in a comfortable environment." So I think they just don't want their players to really worry. Even if it's not, even though 30% doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, that's something.
Oh, peace of mind, man. That's a huge relief for people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of all I have. Do you got? You probably don't got much for the week. Other than that, that's all the news I have. There really wasn't much.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else.
Okay. Well, what are your plans for the week? What do you think you'll be playing, or
it's a short week for us because we got tomorrow off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm really gonna do any streaming this week because I got the kids this week.
Okay. Anything you can tell us that you're gonna still be playing?
I'm still gonna be cracking at Tactics Ogre for sure because I want to finish it. I want to see these end dungeons, Coda, Palace of the Dead, stuff like that, the challenge run stuff. I want to get into that. We did we got 2 rounds in with my Gloomhaven group today, so that was cool. Retired my character. My brother retired his character. Jaws of the Lions. Not Jaws of the Lions, Walls of Jericho. We are killing it. My buddy Slick did get me the DLC for it, the Jaws of the Lion DLC for my birthday. So shout out to Slick. I appreciated that. Might do some more of that this coming weekend or something, depending on people's schedules and stuff. And then for sure, probably I will get at least 1 stream in this coming weekend.
Okay, cool. I plan on probably playing God of War a little bit more off stream, so hopefully we can talk about that on the next podcast a little bit more. I want to get back to Season, so I want to stream that. I don't know if I'll put any more video up on the Black Box channel, but it'll be streaming on my channel, so be sure to be keeping an eye on that. Other than that, I think I'm going to still be doing Fire Emblem, maybe on stream, maybe off stream. I'm even going to probably bring it into work and play it on my lunch break since it's on my Switch. So but yeah, so that's my plan, is just keep chipping away at those. And then, like I said, Stranger of Paradise is probably going to be the next big thing that I play, because releases for me are going to be slowing down a little bit. I think my next big release is not going to be until Final Fantasy 16 comes out. That's going to be my next big pickup, and that's not until June. But yeah, so if you want to email us, our email is at blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at _ blackboxsignal on YouTube and Twitter. And you can follow us on Twitch at blackboxsignal. And Brandon, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/enrageme with an H at the end. Or I'm pretty active on Twitter, also at enrageme with an H at the end.
And you can follow me at chasing_chase on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitch at chasingchasetv. And as always, we will be here next Sunday with some more video game news. We'll see if we got a longer one. We'll see. It's been a little bit short. You know what? Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy some of your Sunday back, This has been Black Box Signal, and as always, stay safe, comrades.